Hello, everybody, and welcome today. We have Michelle Tremblay with us. I'll quickly introduce Michelle Tremblay. She is a keynote speaker, bully prevention trainer, second-degree black belt in karate. She has been training over 18 years, and over this time, she has trained more than 10,000 kids, grown-ups, and seniors, and empowered them. And she goes by Empower Your Inner Ninja. I had a chance to meet Michelle a couple of years ago, and I really admire how she aches for humanity, and she's out there helping everybody learn about human behavior and how to be the best version of ourselves. Thank you for coming in, Michelle, today, and I will be asking Michelle some questions. It will be a series of questions, and we might not be able to cover all the questions in one go. So it will be a continuation of the series. If you have any questions about the topic that we discuss, you can always leave it in comments, and we can ask, and I can always ask her the question next time we're doing a video. So today our topic is a really big one. Michelle, I would love for you to help us understand conflict. What is conflict, and why are we so in conflict everywhere in our lives today?
So conflict comes in a number of forms in our lives. It comes out through our behaviors, aggression, depression, anxiety, struggle of any sorts, whether it's personal, financial, just feeling that we're connected. We're missing out a lot of things in life that sometimes we don't even have the answers for. And when we've had pain and struggle, that struggle and pain continues throughout our lives. If it's happened in our teenage years, we become adults that are very angry, full of rage, and we don't feel content. We have constantly feel this sense of wanting to have more, get more, and a lot of it comes from sometimes that part of our ego that we're not really connected to what's really going on inside us internally.
And well, when conflict sounds like a huge word, and it surprises me how conflict is as small as a discussion between a parent and a 5-year-old. So at that age, a 5-year-old does not even understand anything about conflict. Can this really affect a child growing up, and how?
So as a conflict, we think about conflict comes about sometimes when we do have a difference of opinion than someone else. We have a different belief system. We have different values. And I see a lack of respect within that space of safety, emotional safety, being able to feel comfortable enough to be able to talk about something without flying off the handle. Certain things we're going to have to use a place of being very strong, assertive, and saying, don't cross the street, you're going to get hit by a car if something's coming in that instant. But if we're trying to ask someone to do something, when we come from that place of tone, we know that we all know what that tone is like, and we may have used it ourselves. It can get someone's attention, but over a long period of time, if we're using that to get what we want, we're going to end up having no one that really respects us, because they're all going to be afraid of who we really are.
And is that a learned behavior?
It's sometimes, yes, sometimes a learned behavior or just a coping behavior to survive. In our own environment growing up, there may have been experiences that we've had, and maybe we're not getting the attention we get from our parents, and we're not getting our needs met in certain types of ways, and how we don't understand what's going on emotionally with us is we can lash out, and that comes out in just things that we do that catch people's attention, going, well, why would they behave that way? And we look at these kids, we look at these teenagers, and we go, why are they so angry? What's going on? And they're no different really than children. They've just grown, they've gotten a little bit older. They still have needs that need to be met. They still need to have guidance. They still need to have a caring adult in their life. Whether it's their parents or whether it's a coach or it's someone that they're connected to.
Now, if we take this a little further and we talk about coworkers. So when we're at work, colleagues and coworkers, there's a lot of conflict at work as well. And if this is a learned behavior, now we're grown-ups. And I have had seen a 50-year-old having a conflict at work. So when we're at that stage, and if this is a learned behavior, why are we still in conflict? What comes in our way of learning and getting over that hump?
So a lot of the work I do is around bullying. Bullying is one of the number one issues in the workplace. And it always starts from, how that's modeled from the top down. If there's an I don't care attitude, if I've gone to my HR person and said this is what's going on and they're not supporting me with a zero tolerance, and this person may have been doing this over a long period of time, that environment is going to be very, very toxic. There will be no sense of trust and commitment to the team itself, which will eventually fall apart. You can't get people to do stuff really as part of an organization if it comes from a place of fear. A lot of what is in an environment is a fear, but if you have employees that are valued, there's a culture of respect, they feel supported, they can talk about something that maybe, something just happened and they can talk to someone about it and have that safety, then they can get the proper direction of what they need to do to either go see a counselor. We have to be able to adapt to change within ourselves. So most of us want to just put our hands up and go that I'm not the problem. There's two people in a relationship. I have the power to hurt you by what I say and what I do. So how do you teach people that? What if this is an adult now that's managing a company and he keeps having his staff quit on him? Until he starts to realize or something happens with him specifically to change that, will the organization change?
I have a question there. So let's talk about leadership roles in corporations. And I would say leadership is everywhere, not just at work. We're leading our families, we're leading our friends. Leadership's everywhere. And this specific question is about leadership role in corporations. So let's say a leader who's been promoted and is at a position now where has 10 or 15 people under oneself, and this leader, the bullying is coming from the leader. My question is, that's not the only place it's showing up. I'm pretty sure it's showing up everywhere, in personal relationships and in personal life, friends, family, everywhere. Work is no different. So at that role, it's very difficult to show somebody that, how to be a true leader when they're already out there bullying. How do you handle, and what would it take for that type of a person to really learn true leadership?
That's a really good question. And I can say from a speaking engagement that I had a gentleman, very wise man, probably in his 70s, I would say. And he put his hand up and he asked me that question. His friend was the CEO of a company. And he says, I know he bullies. And he said, he's my friend. And he says, what can I do? And I said, does this person respect you? And he said, yes. I said, if he respects you, then he will listen to what you have to say and take that in. And maybe realize from that conversation, to be completely upfront and honest with him, that what he's doing is wrong. If we have any respect for people in our lives, I can speak from my teachers, from karate and other things that I've had experiences with. They are those people that you look up to.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to do well. You want to do the right thing. Because in their eyes, you mean a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And to them, too. So I see it as we all have guides and coaches and people around us. Some of those people are just going to be, this is how they operate. And I've had people say, well, what do I do? And this is not going to change. And I say, then you need to change. You need to get out of that. Mm-hmm. And that's not the easiest thing. If it's a relationship or if it's, a friendship, but until we realize and really learn how to love ourselves, feel good about who we are, know that that's not the way you deserve to be treated, then you'll know something different too of what you want to create in your reality for your life.
The reason I asked this question is one of my friends, she worked for this organization where this person in leadership was really bitter, and she came on board, and within 2 weeks she was done with it. She said, it's very difficult to do my job when this person's so rude and there's no respect. And what they did was every month a person left and they would go hire another one until they found the person who would just tolerate it. So this position, she was the 14th person in that position. And as you said, now that strikes, because at work it works. They fire one person, they hire another. It doesn't just work like that in relationships. You cannot just fire one person and go hire another one every other year. And that's, I think, how people end up in marriages one after the other, thinking maybe if I replace that person and the problem will solve. So this friend of mine was the 14th employee in that position, and she had no clue she was until she really stood up and was ready to leave. So what has to change here?
People have to change. Ultimately.
Wow, that's a hard truth. Yeah. And how does it begin?
I've seen personally from experiences, sometimes it takes something to happen. It takes, as I said, I gave you an analogy of someone that we respect enough to come in and say something, but sometimes it's the harder things in life. Sometimes it's a loss. Sometimes our health. Sometimes it's so much stress that we break down. Sometimes it's enough that enough people have fought against that, a person experience that, it's caused havoc and, they just can't take it anymore, and other people have gotten involved and that person ends up getting let go. And that person, I've had experiences where I've had kids, older, have been very aggressive in their teenage years and said that they went into a job with the same kind of behavior and wanted to, just push people around, try to be the big shot, and they'd end up getting let go. And it happened enough times that it got to a point where they started to feel like something was wrong. Something was finally wrong. They started to feel depressed and didn't really understand, well, what's wrong with me, really? But they didn't really get their behavior. Even though they were being told, they still didn't understand until their health started to go. And they were drinking at the time, and they had just had a wake-up call through that. And they were able to reach out for help. It got bad enough. Sometimes in life experiences, we are not paying attention to what people are saying. We're ignoring, oh, that's not me. I don't do this.
So not receiving
and it's
feedback.
hard for us. And it's important to get feedback from people that we honor, we respect, we trust, we feel safe with. And they're not always going to give us feedback that's negative. It has to be balanced out because we all have to grow, but we can't grow in an environment that's always someone saying something about they don't like this, you should do this better, you should do that. We hear that often enough we need to pull out those strengths, say, hey, you need to work on this. How much more would we support other people if we had that kind of heart in that?
So how it's being communicated, or where you're really coming from, how you're being when you really give that feedback. Is it just pointing out the faults in others, or are you really invested in their growth?
You need to be specific to whatever the issue is, but you need to start it off with something that's positive. You know what, I really love coming to work every day, and you always seem to have a smile on your face, and it's always so great to just see you. And I've just noticed a couple things I'd like to talk to you about. Something happened with a customer the other day, and do you have some time? Can we sit down and have a conversation? And you want to ask them too what their thoughts are on this too, so they can share from their experience. And if you are as much as a human being who's open and has awareness, you're going to take that in and go, you know what, yeah, ooh, I didn't mean to do that. I was really having a bad morning, you know, and things were not working, and I came out with this tone in my voice, and it was just so inappropriate. And then you can make a choice to apologize, but it is that level of awareness and not going, it's not my problem, it's not me, I didn't do anything wrong.
Interesting. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge. As I said, it is a series, so I will be asking Michelle more questions around conflict, because this topic is huge and I can just grill you for like hours and hours and hours for information. And for viewers, if you have a certain topic or a scenario that you wanted to run by Michelle and see how you can handle it, please leave it in the comments, or you can also send me a personal message, and I will have some questions ready for Michelle next time. We're going to keep these videos really short and sweet, so it only takes 5 to 10 minutes to watch it. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to leave a comment. Have a great day. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, Nina.